जी सर।
नहीं पूछा था, चेयरमैन साहब ने ज्वाइन किया क्या?
चेयरमैन साहब अभी शायद इधर ही।
Appointments in the last 5 years. GST law has witnessed many litigations and disputes from its implementation stage. Problems related of taxes, exports and import duties, penalties, e-way bill structures, advance rollings, and related to many more areas are still under litigation and creating a scope for future dispute and litigations. No doubt that the government has put its best efforts to clarify the issue to avoid litigation in the future, but the clarifications through informal channels like tweets, e-filers, FAQs, press release, etc., are not legally binding on either side, neither to the tax authorities nor to the taxpayers. In many cases, clarifications issued by the government or tax authorities were not in accordance with the legal provisions and contradictory to law. Therefore, in the days to come, the scope of legal disputes and litigations are going to increase. So, considering the same view, we at CIRC, under the able leadership of our worthy chairmanship Atul sir, has decided to update our members regarding the latest judgments, which can help our members to update their knowledge regarding the GST litigations. So without further delaying any this session, I would like to invite our CIRC chairman Atul Mehrotra.
Thank you, Akash ji. Today's moderator of the program and my colleague in the regional council, Lokesh ji, Rajiv ji, Kishore Badia ji, Anil Yadav ji, and I am very much impressed with today's speaker, यशस्वी शर्मा जी. जैसा नाम वैसा काम. यशस्वी शर्मा जी का जैसा नाम है और वैसे ही वो हमारे प्रोफेशन में धीरे धीरे यशस्वी होते जा रहे हैं और हम लोग प्रभु से प्रार्थना करते हैं कि उनके ज्ञान की जो गहराई है वो हम सब मेंबरों तक पहुंचे. और आज के इस प्रोग्राम के लिए मैं पूरी CIRC टीम को बधाई देता हूं, क्योंकि ये अमृत महोत्सव हमारे देश में मनाया जा रहा है सरकार की तरफ से, CA इंस्टीट्यूट की तरफ से. सो CIRC is also celebrating 75 days, 75 programs, and our dedicated team, Akash is also a very dedicated person of our regional team, and we all trying to serve our members and students through these virtual and physical meetings. And one or two very important things I just wanted to share with all of you, in addition to today's topic. That World Congress of Accountants program is being a mega picture. We can say the Olympics of our accounting profession is going to be held from 18th to 21st November at Mumbai itself. So you all are requested to please get yourself registered, and there will be a big picture of our future profession. And as far as our CA day is, we all know that we are celebrating our CA day on 1st day of July. So you all are again requested to, जहाँ पर हैं आप, जिस शहर में हैं, जिस कस्बे में हैं, वो सब अपने एक साथ टीम बना के कुछ ऐसे प्लान करिए कि हमारे इमेज बिल्डिंग में हम अपनी ICI के कुछ सपोर्ट कर पाएं. बिकॉज इन हाउस तो हम करते ही रहते हैं अपनी ब्रांच में, अपनी किसी भी प्रीमाइसेस में, but as far as our image building is concerned, our professional services to the society at large is concerned, हमें थोड़ा सा उससे बाहर निकल के कुछ ऐसे प्रोग्राम्स प्लान करने चाहिए, so that हमारे समाज, जनरल सोसाइटी को भी ये पता चल सके कि हमारे CA प्रोफेशनल जो सिर्फ फाइनेंशियल कंसल्टेंट नहीं है, बल्कि उसके साथ साथ सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी का भी पालन करते हैं. So with these words, I congratulate the entire team for today's VCM, along with the learned speaker. And the topic is appeals under GST, the few judicial pronouncements. As my personal perception is that GST, the two first words, letters rather, G and S, are not so simple. And it contribute to 67% of the three letters GST. So if we understand G and S in depth, then it will be very easier for us to reach up to T. So I think these judicial pronouncements will support our professional members in their day-to-day queries and questions or the problems faced by our professionals. And I'm sure after today's program, it will be very beneficial for all of us. Thank you, all of you. And I welcome you all on behalf of CIRC. Thank you so much. Over to Akashi.
Thank you अतुल sir for your kind words and rightly said कि अगर हम G और S को समझ ले तो आई थिंक T तक पहुंचना बहुत इजीली हो जाएगा एंड G और S को समझने के बाद जो कॉम्प्लेक्सिटीज आती है उसके लिए वी हैव अ लर्नेड स्पीकर सी यशस्वी शर्मा जी, तो वो अपनी कॉम्प्लेक्सिटीज उसको कैसे दूर करें अपन वो अपन को समझाएंगे. बिफोर मूविंग ahead with this session, I would like to introduce our speaker for today's session. CA Yashasvi Sharma has been practicing since more than last 19 years in the field of indirect taxes. He has been consulting various multinational and big four since long in the field of indirect taxes. His areas जो expertise है इनकी पूरी indirect taxes में ही है, and he has been honored by the Commercial Tax Department Rajasthan for remarkable contribution formation of a law and procedures of GST in 2016. He has been a chairman VAT and GST Committee of Tax Consultants Association Jaipur for the year 2015-16, 16-17, 17-18 and 18-19. He has also been the chairman of Indirect Tax Representation Committee of Tax Consultant Association for the year 2021. He has been nominated member of RVAT Research Core Group of CIRC of ICI in the year 2012. He has been various, he has delivered various lectures, and his articles has been published in various newspapers and professional newsletters. And ख्याति तो बहुत कम है, अगर मैं ये बताते जाऊं तो यशस्वी भैया के लिए पूरा दिन लग जाएगा. आई थिंक जो बीसीएम के 2 घंटे अलॉट किए हमारे उसी में चले जाएंगे. सो विदाउट फर्दर डिलेइंग दिस थिंग, आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट यशस्वी शर्मा जी to proceed with this session.
Thank you, Akash, for the generosity which you've shown and provide time to speak. Chairman of CIRC Atul ji, Secretary Lokesh bhai, Regional Council Member Akash Bhadgoti ji, the entire team of CIRC, my colleagues in profession, and ladies and gentlemen. A very good evening to one and all. At the very outset, I would like to thank the entire team, especially Akash ji, for conceptualizing today's VCM on this very hot topic of appeals way forward and the judicial pronouncements under the GST law. I have been associated, the indirect taxes since more than 19-20 years. At the time of formation of introduction of VAT also in way back in 2003 to 2006 in different parts of the countries. At that time also we contributed including the institute, we contributed a lot in formation of that law. But one thing what I wanted to say is that appeals topic was first deliberated around 8 to 9 years after the implementation of VAT. And the beauty of this law, as the chairman sir rightly pointed out, that if you understand G and S, the T becomes very simple. But the problem, chairman sir, is that it is more than difficult to understand G and S first. And because this law is evolving and taking that kind of a shape. But in GST, you see that since last more than 2.5 years, I have been deliberating on this particular issue, this topic, the appeals. And considering that these issues have creeped up in less than 3 years' time, and we can see that these issues have reached to the apex court of the country. Some of the issues have reached there, and a lot of issues have been decided by the honorable high courts of different states. So this is how the litigation is evolving. Friends, appeal is a topic which is very close to my heart, as I have I have been involved in litigation nearly for 2 decades now. One more important one more important point what I would like to mention here, that this is the only field where as a professional one get to learn new things in every single case. And having said that, learning has no substitute whatsoever. Litigation is one field where we have to put ourselves in, we have to invest ourselves in, and that and then the result comes out of it. Friends, if you remember, and I will take you back to 2017, at the time when we were expecting the rollout of GST. We had a very mixed feeling inside. When I say mixed, we were very hopeful for increase the professional work, and at the same time we were apprehensive of the fact that how this voluminous work which will generate after GST will be handled by us. The volume would be that high that we would not be able to handle it properly. But now after 5 years, you can see that this particular message which I'm telling you, I have conveyed it loud and clear. And since that time only, since five years, I'm saying that we professionals are not made for the compliance work. This procedural work is not for us. Keep this work aside. Since last 5 years, I am each and every deliberation of mine, I have said that we are not for this procedural work. We are for litigation. We are chartered accountants. We are highly educated people. We know how to handle the data. We know how to handle the law. We know how to read between the lines. We know how to what are the objects behind the formation of this law. So litigation is one area which is meant for us being a professional. And at that time, the happy feeling of increasing in work has been vanished. To that extent, what I pointed out at that time also is getting a little bit of reality that the work will not be there. And as far as the professional work is concerned, let me tell you, by introduction of this section 38, you see that you don't need to file the return also now. What credit you have to take, what credit is blocked, everything is auto-populated in the return. So these things will not last any longer, this procedural work. At the same time, when one door closes, the another door opens, and it is a strong and big opportunity which is knocking our doors of professionals who are prepared for the litigation. Now that's one thing I have always been asking you, and especially the young chartered accountants, to excel, that you build in this inculcate this particular thing in you, that we need to go for the litigation whatsoever happens. And now sitting today on 16th of June and knowing that the elimination of GST audit or the reconciliation statement under section 35(5), the litigation seems to be the only future of GST. As I already discussed with you that the new section 38, it is a very draconian section as far as the taxpayers are concerned, but that is not the topic today. We can have a full day seminar on this particular section itself, the new section 38, that how the credit is flowing, how the credit will be allowed to be taken by the taxpayers, these all things. But you see that after going through and analyzing this section 38, which is very good example, where auto-populated statements would provide with ITCs to be taken and which is not to be taken. So that thing one should always keep in our mind. The current scenario is supporting and justifying what I'm telling you today. And where the department is not sure, that what is to be done right now. And at the same time, the assessees also don't know. उनको तो वैसे ही कुछ पता नहीं रहता है कि हमको कैसे करना है. And that is when, that is the point, that is the perfect time for us being a professional to come into picture. And as I told you earlier that प्रैक्टिस का मतलब ये है कि हमको प्रैक्टिस करनी है, इसलिए इस फील्ड को प्रैक्टिस कहा गया है. हम ये नहीं कर सकते कि हमको जितना पोर्शन पढ़ना है हम उतना पढ़ के नोटिस का जवाब दे दें. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता. We cannot, it is an old saying that you cannot read the law in isolation. So you have to be very precise, you have to be very, rich in your knowledge, having the all the acts which are going side by side, and whatever it is there, the conceptualization of the act, the objects of the act, you ought to know each and everything if you want to go further in the litigation part. Friends, having said that, the market is flooded of show cause notices. And now they are doing the departmental audit paras also. And एक बात मैं आपसे कहना चाहता हूँ कि जब ये audit eliminate हुई, उस वक्त ये बड़ा हल्ला मचा था 35 subsection 5 of the GST. That there is no need to get the audit done as far as the GST is concerned from the professionals. Because the reason which put forth in the parliament in writing were that the amount which we are fetching from 9 is way more than whatever it is from 9C. Meaning thereby कि भाई चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स जो हैं वो 9 में हमको जो आ रहा है, वो 9C में चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स जो रिवर्सल या जो पैसा जमा करवाया है क्रेडिट असेसी से, दैट इज अ वेरी लेस अमाउंट. So we don't find any good, reason to continue with it. But today, if somebody comes and says that you are doing audit of section 65 and it should be scrapped, having said that, why? With due respect to the department, because lot of things are there which we are really facing a different kind of problems nowadays while getting the departmental audit done. What they say is whatever the credit side of your P&L is, that entire credit side is liable to be taxed. और उसमें चाहे इंटरेस्ट एफडी का हो, किसी भी चीज का इंटरेस्ट हो, उस पे भी हम टैक्स लगाएंगे. वेरी वेरी स्मॉल एग्जांपल व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग यू. Does it mean that section 65 should be scrapped off as they did in case of subsection 5 of section 35? No. But why I am telling you? Because there is ample ground of litigation in that. And friends, you should and you will appreciate the fact that earlier we used to approach the government that these are the system challenges we are facing, and these needs to be resorted to for a better implementation of GST. But now, after 5 years, that particular procedural part is being properly taken care of, and it is almost settled. Almost it is settled that the things will go like this, the returns will flow like this, the credits will come like this, the output tax will be generated like this, and refunds will come like this. Everything is more or less now settled. But now they have started asking from us that how the appeal process should be implemented smoothly, because the people, whosoever out of you people are doing the litigation work, they know that we are facing challenges, and those challenges I will discuss during the course of my deliberation. So now they are asking. Day before yesterday itself, we had a meeting with the Chief Commissioner of Rajasthan along with the entire 9 appellate authorities, and I was there, and they were asking so many questions which reflected or given this message that in this particular area they are also technically, as far as the system is concerned, they are also facing some challenges. And it is good, as Akash earlier said, that the government is receptive and they really are working hard to get things in shape. Meaning thereby in the coming time, the professionals should prepare themselves. Again and again, I'm telling you that the litigation is one thing which which gives you a power, which gives you a motivation, which gives you an inspiration to perform well. and you get to know so many new things every day with passing by each case. And that's why I said that the topic chosen today by Akash for discussion is very relevant and hot. Friends, what is written in the law books as far as the provisions is concerned, I am very sure that being a chartered accountant, we can read and very diligently those provisions and consider that we would try and update ourselves in next 100 minutes or so. During my course of deliberation, I would certainly touch upon provisions related to appeal, but my emphasis would be on other related material, and which includes the how to prepare yourself litigation. We will discuss on that elaborately. And if you have any questions related to the topics I discussed, you can raise the issues, and I request Akashji that whensoever the question comes, you can put it in during the course of deliberation also. Now, how to prepare yourself, how to use the legal maxims. It is very astonishing and surprising that we do not use legal maxims. So we will try and discuss those few legal maxims which are very important. And the Jaipur branch is making one compilation on the GST. They are coming out with the GST book. In that book also, we have given these legal maxims, so that at least when you are giving your initial reply or the reply to the SCNs or filing the appeals, those maxims should be used. It gives an impact to whatsoever submission you are giving. Then what the judgment says, the landmark judgments and latest judgments, which we can put forth with our reply to SCNs or as the appeals. So my conscious effort would be to inspire all of you and to add some value to your litigative skills through this VCM today. And friends, with that backdrop, I would like to start my PPT. Just a second. Yeah. So I will begin with one quote of Henry Ford, who said that most people spend more time and energy going around problems rather than finding the solutions for them. See what is happening right now. Let me tell you very, very honestly that this is only our profession which thinks too much about the clients. I appreciate that. We should do that. And but it should not be like that कि इतने सारे notices आ रहे हैं, department इतनी searches कर रहा है, department ऐसे कर रहा है, department वैसे कर रहा है. We should stop cribbing about it. Whatever they are doing for your good. They are doing good for the profession. Why we are here? We are here for to solve these issues. जैसे शरीर की बीमारी के लिए डॉक्टर है, वैसे लॉ की टैक्सेशन की बीमारी के लिए हम लोग हैं. So we should try to think about the possible solutions of the problems being created by the department rather than cribbing for that. That is the first thing which one should have in mind. If you see the profession of advocates, they find way out. They find the solution for their clients, that how they can be saved. So that those kind of approach, first of all, we have to generate in ourselves, that litigation के लिए हमको ये सब चीजें पहले नंबर पे चाहिए, हमारा mindset. Now we will discuss what the pretext of the litigation. Mindset, as I have already told you, you have to be very open-minded, that these kind if something comes, then let it flow in. When why I'm telling you this, because if you come across with some notices or some orders which are against the assessee, then the mindset should be open, that whatever facts are given in the case, whatever decisions the assessing authority have mentioned in the notice or the order, and what are the concept, what are the, you know, the provisions of law have been invoked in those particular SCNs and orders. So plus minus, your both the thoughts must flow in your mind, that if I do if I take this play, what can be the next plea from the part of the revenue? Because when you stand in the court and when you fight the case for your client, you never know that what question comes from the other side of the table, or for that matter what the government advocate says about the case. So one thing is that scrutinize as deep as possible whatsoever grounds you are taking in your appeal or your submissions. So that kind of mindset is needed, where everything is open. I am ready to take all the thoughts whatsoever comes in my mind, and if I want to evaluate those thoughts. So that is first thing. Second thing is approach. Friends, I am afraid, but I very honestly am telling you that we are lacking on that. We are lacking on that. Having said that, when we appear before the court, you should be confident enough that whatever I am telling you and whatever I am speaking is thoroughly backed up by the law and the relevant judicial pronouncements. And at the same time, you have to judge at how to present the case, what facts I need to press, and what judgments and what part of the judgments to be given to the bench. That is very important. And when you see that the things are going in a right direction, you can move your arguments in those particular points. But when you see that the bench is not interested in one of your arguments, then the the mindset comes into picture. You need to escape that, and you just jump on the second argument of yours. So you need to prepare many arguments so that if the bench doesn't agree with one argument, you can go to another. And at that point of time, you need to see that how the the thought process of the bench is evolving. So that is one more very important thing to understand while you are arguing your case. Need not to mention that the parent law you have to know. You don't have any other choice to know that. But and that I am sure that we all know. I really am thankful to GST कि उसके आने के बाद कम से कम हम Constitution को भी पढ़ने लग गए. There are certain articles of Constitution which needs to be evaluated, and the beauty of any piece of legislature is that जितनी बार भी आप इसको पढ़ते हैं उतनी बार इसमें कोई नई चीज निकल के आती है. So GST अगर आप पढ़ रहे हैं तो उसके लिए आपको Constitution के provisions पढ़ने पड़ेंगे, along with the allied legislatures such as the CRPC criminal proceedings, the CPC, आपका Evidence Act, आपके लिमिटेशन का जो एक्ट है वो भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो गया है आजकल, एंड द कस्टम्स एक्ट. ये सब एक्ट्स की हमको एक नॉलेज, एक रीजनेबल नॉलेज हमको होनी चाहिए, ताकि एट द टाइम ऑफ प्रेजेंटिंग बिफोर द रेवेन्यू हम कहीं अटके नहीं. एंड सीआरपीसी और सीपीसी का तो कई जगह जीएसटी में जिक्र भी है, जिनके प्रोसेस उन्होंने बताए कि वही प्रोसेस अडॉप्ट होंगे, चाहे समन्स के केस हो या अरेस्ट के केस हो, जो सीआरपीसी या सीपीसी में दिए हुए हैं. सो एटलीस्ट सेक्शन 100 और ये 2-3 जो सेक्शंस हैं 102 वो हमको पढ़ने चाहिए, ताकि हमारे को पता लगे कि सीआरपीसी सीपीसी कोई एक हवा नहीं है, वो भी प्रोविजंस वहां से उठा के इसमें जीएसटी में डाले हैं. And those provisions need to be collaborated with the GST, and then the implementation part comes. So that also becomes important. Interpretational skills are very important, because as I told you just now that this is the beauty of law, any law, कि उसमें मैं कुछ पढ़ता हूं तो उसका कुछ अलग मीनिंग निकलता है, आकाश जी अगर उसको कुछ पढ़ते हैं तो अलग मीनिंग निकलता है, और कोई तीसरा आदमी उसको पढ़ेगा तो कुछ अलग मीनिंग निकलेगा. एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट रीजन वंस माइंड शुड बी वेरी ओपन इन दैट. सो एक इंटरप्रिटेशनल जो आपकी स्किल्स हैं वो स्किल्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, दोज स्किल्स आर, एंड यू नीड टू शार्पन दोज स्किल्स. And the only way of sharpen your interpretational skills is read judgments. और जब आप एक जजमेंट पढ़ते हैं तो उसके अंदर आपको 25 जजमेंट का हवाला मिलता है. So if you go through one judgment every day, you will see that, write down the notes and you will see that, you know, I have covered 25 judgments today only by reading one judgment thoroughly. ये एक केवल हेड नोट पढ़ने से और उसमें मजा नहीं आता. So you need to evolve this habit in yourself that I will read one judgment today and I will read one judgment every day whatsoever happens. अगर छोटा जजमेंट होता है 20-25 पेज का, उसको पढ़ने में आपको आधे घंटे से ज्यादा नहीं लगता. Then I sincerely appeal all of you to read one judgment daily. That will really do a hell lot of good to you. फर्स्ट कम्युनिकेशन जो डिपार्टमेंट से होती है वो हमेशा इंपॉर्टेंट होती है. इवन हम क्रिमिनल केसेस में या सिविल केसेस में देखते हैं जो एफआईआर्स भी होती हैं, फर्स्ट इंफॉर्मेशन रिपोर्ट, वो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट डॉक्यूमेंट सुप्रीम कोर्ट तक माना जाता है, क्योंकि उसके अंदर आप बिल्कुल हूबहू वो लिखते हैं जो कि आपको कहना होता है एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, फर्स्ट टाइम. सो दैट डॉक्यूमेंट बिकम्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ये एक इस चीज को गांठ बांध लें कि कोई भी चीज अगर मुझे डिपार्टमेंट में फाइल करनी है तो पहला जो कम्युनिकेशन जाएगा वो बहुत प्रिसाइज, बहुत क्रिस्प, जहां इलॉबरेटेड होना है वहां इलॉबरेटेड भी होना चाहिए, और बहुत ही एक टू द पॉइंट रिप्लाई जाएगा. आई हैव सीन, सिंस वी ऑल सिट विद द रेवेन्यू ऑफिसर्स, वी सी दैट एक नोटिस आया उसका केवल एक, क्योंकि आज 15 दिन का नोटिस था, 14 दिन हो गए, हमने जवाब ऐसे ही फाइल कर दिया. सो दैट इज अ वेरी बैड थिंग टू हैव. आपको जो भी जवाब देना है आप उसके लिए चाहे आप टाइम मांग लें एक बार उससे कि मुझे 7 दिन का टाइम दें, बट जो जवाब पहला आपको देना है वो जवाब बड़ा प्रिसाइज और बहुत ही ज्यादा संजीदा जवाब होना चाहिए. एंड दिस इज एज आई टोल्ड यू अर्लियर ऑल्सो इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि हम कैसे जुडिशियल प्रोनाउंसमेंट को पढ़ें, और पढ़ने से ज्यादा उसको हम अप्लाई कैसे करें. बिकॉज इन सो मेनी केसेस यू सी, मैं चलो डिपार्टमेंट की बात करता हूँ, जब आपके पास कोई ऑर्डर होके आता है तो हम ये देखते हैं कि उसमें उन्होंने जजमेंट कोट किया है, वो जजमेंट लगता ही नहीं है उस फैक्ट्स के ऊपर जो उस केस के थे. एंड दैट रियली हेल्प्स अस इन गेटिंग थ्रू द केस फ्रॉम द अपीलेट अथॉरिटीज और द हायर कोर्ट्स. So same thing happens when we are drafting the reply or we are submitting some reply to the SCN or filing an appeal. आप precisely जो आपके ऑर्डर का आप किसी जजमेंट का फैसले का हवाला देते हैं तो वो उसके फैक्ट्स को पहले आप जांचें thoroughly and then only you proceed that हम उसको उसमें हमारे केस में डाल सकते हैं कि नहीं. So these are the common things which I personally thought of and I worked on over the years to, you know, just try to get myself near to something good in the field of GST. So I thought of, you know, sharing that with you so that it can add some value. So those are the prerequisites what I think one must have for the litigation, right? Now, this is the important part. Why I feel it important, because whenever I am drafting any appeal or whenever I am giving any reply to any notice, I like, somehow I like using these maxims in my replies, my submissions. So, and at the same time, when you read what I was just telling you a few minutes back, कि जब आप कोई जजमेंट रीड करते हैं तो उसमें इन मैक्सिम्स को आप देखिए कोर्ट कितने सुंदर तरीके से इनको काम में लेता है. बहुत सारी चीज कहने के लिए 4 वर्ड 5 वर्ड काम में आ जाते हैं. एंड दैट इज हाउ दीज मैक्सिम्स हैव इवॉल्व्ड एंड that is how the courts are also taking and in while during the narrate the orders, you see that how fluently they are coming out. So let us start with this. First is the void ab initio. This is very commonly used, and we all know that when we are filing any reply or drafting any appeal, I am 100% sure that all of us must be using this maxim that the order passed by the authority, the proper officer or the assessing authority, whatsoever you call it, then it is void ab initio. Because reason, we give reasons because it was you say it was beyond his jurisdiction, that is or not his jurisdiction. When I say jurisdiction, it doesn't matter that it is calling the territorial jurisdiction. It might be your it might not be in your power to do some works, so that is also beyond jurisdiction. So might be beyond jurisdiction. He has not given any opportunity of being heard. That is the basic principle of law. So that has not been given. So these maxims have legal backing. आप देखें कि नंबर ऑफ जजमेंट्स में, जैसे मैं आपसे हर मैक्सिम के एक दो जजमेंट आपसे मैं डिस्कस करूंगा. तो दिल्ली डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी का एक जो जजमेंट था, उसमें सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने एब इनिशियो को काम में लिया. वहां पे केस ये था कि उन्होंने कुछ कंस्ट्रक्शन, मैं डिटेल में जाऊंगा, कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्क्स कुछ किए, दो जो बायलॉज उसके हिसाब से थे, उसके हिसाब से वो सही थे, उन्होंने उसको नोटिस दिया, बिना अपॉर्चुनिटी के दे दिया. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा कि ये जो कंक्लूजन आपने निकाला है ये एब इनिशियो डिफेक्टिव था. एब इनिशियो डिफेक्टिव का मतलब द मोमेंट व्हेन यू आर इंसेप्टिंग समथिंग, आप जब किसी चीज की नींव रख रहे हैं तो वो नींव का जो बेस है वो बेस ही गलत था. दैट बेस वाज नॉट लीगल. So that is called ab initio void. If you, and be careful also, if you are using this maxim that it is void ab initio, then you need to be very confident that the whatsoever the allegations have been made in the notice or in the for the appeal in the order, then those must be, right from the inception of that case, must be against the law. Then only these legal maxims may be this void ab initio can be used. So be very careful about that. Another judgment is Shiv Kumar and others versus Union of India. इसमें जो परचेजर था उसने लैंड एक्विजिशन एक्ट का कोई नोटिफिकेशन था, वो उसको एक राइट नहीं दे रहा था लैंड की सेल के लिए, एंड द केस फ्रेम्ड इन दैट वे. I have given those judgments. You can write it down, and you can, if you want to read more about this, then you can take the help of these judgments, and that is why I have given these judgments in the PPT. The second is comes actori incubat onus probendi. What it says is that the onus is always lies on the plaintiff. And what is plaintiff? जो अपील कर रहा है. Petitioner is the person who is filing the appeal. Respondent is the person who has been made party on the other side. So ये इसका मैं आपको example देता हूँ कि, and the beauty of this particular thing is that during the course the onus shifts from one person to another. What happens? Let us discuss. डिपार्टमेंट ने आपको कोई नोटिस दिया और उस नोटिस में ये कहा कि ये रेट ऑफ टैक्स में आपने जो माल बेचा है, ये रेट ऑफ टैक्स में माल नहीं बिकेगा, ये 12% में जाएगा. नाउ द ओनस कम्स ऑन द on us that you prove. Court says that first you prove that you have taken this plea that the goods will be taxed at higher rate of tax. Then what was the basis on which you have framed this opinion? Now the onus is on the department that says they have to discharge, and invariably in classification cases we take this plea that the onus, the discharge, the liability of proving was not discharged by the proper officer. So you need to know that what is onus discharging. If he is saying something, if the revenue department says that this is what we are alleging you, this is what you have alleged for, then they have to give the reasons that this is why we have framed this opinion, and the burden lies on them. Now, if you file any reply and say that my product is, say, let's take an example that my product is a mouse. This mouse falls in 5% tax rate. For example, department says that it will not fall in 5%. They have already given their plea that it will fall in 10%. You say it will fall in 5%. Then you have to prove that see, in central excise tariff this is falling here, in HSN code this is the HSN code, and that is why we say that these mouses are falling in this particular category. So that meaning thereby the discharge of onus is very important. You have to discharge before saying anything to us. Chaliye. This is one judgment which you can read for further knowledge. Now coming next is the actus non facit remis nisi mens rea. This is very important. One of the judgment came 4 years back that let us first see what it is. It says that the mens rea का जो content है, culpable state of mind, जिसमें आप knowingly कोई crime करते हैं, उसके लिए ये maxim काम में लिए that कि मैं जानबूझ के किसी काम को किया. I knew that this will happen if I do not make the e-way bill on above 1 lakh or 2 lakhs dispatch, as the case may be, then this will happen. My connivance was that the goods were to be dropped at somewhere location in UP, and I intentionally said that it is not going to UP, it is just going on the border of the Rajasthan, and the goods were caught at the time of unloading in UP. So those kind of cases where the intent is there that I will, with connivance, I am making some, doing some work, then that mens rea comes into picture. Contradictory judgments are there which says that in, economic offenses, the mens rea should not be tested. But that is one thing which even Supreme Court says that the mens rea must be present for proving any offense whatsoever. So this is one important thing what I wanted to discuss. इसमें एक ये judgment state of Rajasthan versus शेरा खान का है, जो आप इस citation पे पढ़ सकते हैं if you want to gather some more knowledge about this particular maxim. Now the next come audi alteram partem. And it says that no man shall be condemned unheard. And friends, this is one of the basic principles of natural justice, which says that you cannot pass any order against any person without knowing his side of the case. Meaning thereby, if you do not provide, देखिए आपने भी कानून पढ़ा है, हर जगह लिखा हुआ होता है कि assessee will do this, the proper officer will do this, the AO will do this after affording an opportunity of being heard to the assessee. He shall issue a notice before arriving at any conclusion, any assessment. So that particular thing comes out with the principle of natural justice. You need to give the opportunity of the person against whom you are litigating something. So that needs to be there too, and that is very important also. This is one landmark judgment in case of Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India. So you can just read this judgment and you see that how beautifully this judgment is being narrated. इसमें सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने दो जो इम्पोर्टेंट चीज डिस्कस करी थी वो ये कि एक तो जो नोटिस है वो उसकी रिक्वायरमेंट मीट विद नहीं हुई और दूसरा अपॉर्चुनिटी जो एक्सप्लेन नहीं दी जो मैंने आपसे अभी कही. I recommend that you should read this judgment. This is really very nice judgment of Honorable Apex Court of India. Right. Next is the delegatus non-protest delegare. जो आपकी एक पावर जो खुद आपको डेलीगेशन में मिली है उस पावर को आप फर्दर डेलीगेट नहीं कर सकते. दिस इज वन very important legal maxim as far as the search and seizures are concerned. Sometimes what happens, you see that there if you read section 67 and joint commissioner से ऊपर के लोगों को ये पावर है कि वो उसको साइन करके ऑर्डर सर्च मेमो दे. अब ये नहीं हो सकता. इन वन ऑफ द केसेस द कोर्ट हैव आल्सो डिसाइडेड कि आपने अगर जॉइंट कमिश्नर ने कह दिया कि नहीं ये तो वो असिस्टेंट कमिश्नर साइन कर देगा, मैं मेरी पावर उसको देता हूँ, दैट कैन नॉट बी डन. One of his judgment of Honorable High Court, I am missing out on the name of the High Court, where the High Court said if the search memo is not being signed by the Joint Commissioner or above, then the search is void ab initio, which I just discussed with you. So that search is void ab initio. Just see that how important these little maxims are. So this is what it says, that the delegated power cannot be further delegated. इसमें आप ये दो केसेस पढ़ सकते हैं. ये फर्स्ट वाला केस जो दिल्ली लॉज एक्ट का है, इसमें 7 जजेस बेंच सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जज है का फैसला है. दिस इज वेरी गुड डिसीजन इफ यू read it, right? Now next is adjustem generis. This is very good. You know, I will discuss this in detail. That एक हमारा केस था. पहले मैं आपको बताऊं कि ये चीज है क्या. एड्यूस्डेम जनरलिस आपने सबने पढ़ा होगा. ये मेरे को तब से ध्यान है जब मैंने वे बैक इन 99 जब मैं सीए कर रहा था, उस वक्त एक मैक्सिम ये पूछते थे, एक पेपर हमारे जमाने में होता था उस जमाने में कि आपको इसका अर्थ बताना है. एंड लेट मी शेयर दिस विद यू बिकॉज अब आधा घंटा हो गया तो थोड़ा सा बात को चेंज भी कर लेते हैं. उस वक्त मेरे सबसे ज्यादा नंबर जो आए थे वो इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस में ही आए थे. आई गॉट 78 इन दैट पेपर. और उस पेपर के अंदर ये मैगजीम आई थी. एंड ये मुझे तब से याद है क्योंकि मेरे को बड़ा इंटरेस्ट रहता था इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स में शुरू से. एंड लेट मी टेल यू, इन अकाउंट्स आई गॉट ओनली 45 46 मार्क्स. एंड दैट इज व्हाई आई एम वेरी बैड एट अकाउंट्स, बट डूइंग इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स इज फेयरली गुड इनफ. सो ये जो मैक्सिम है, ये मैक्सिम ये कहती है कि व्हेन द लेटर पार्ट ऑफ समथिंग, व्हाट थिंग आई विल डिस्कस विद यू, बट जस्ट टू टेक अ बेयर सेंस ऑफ दिस मैक्सिम. जो मान लीजिए आपके पास 25 शब्द लिखे हुए हैं, तो जो पहले वाले शब्द हैं, जो लेटर वाले शब्द हैं, वो एक दूसरे से कलर लेंगे अपना. मीनिंग देयर बाय द वर्ड्स व्हिच आर फॉलोइंग द वर्ड्स ऑफ द अर्लियर वर्ड्स will take those colors from those words only. अब मैं इसको थोड़ा सा आपको सिंपल करके समझाता हूँ. हमारा एक केस था जो which we are still fighting in the High Court in Rajasthan. The case was related to one entry, and I will read that entry for you. There was what you call there was a schedule of residuary rates in Rajasthan VAT Act, and that act was this entry was related to eatables. And let me just read out this entry very fast. It was read like cooked food like pizza, burgers, fried chicken, french fries, sandwiches, hot dogs, noodles. Just to be careful listening the words which I'm narrating for you. Potato chips, bakery items, and any other cooked food item. These were the words. इस any of the cooked food items में उन्होंने हमारे क्लाइंट की जो सब्जी, रोटी, दाल रोटी जो बेच रहा था उसको भी इस एंट्री में टैक्स कर दिया. Just see that जो पहले वर्ड्स हैं वो पूरे वर्ड फास्ट फूड से रिलेटेड है. एंड वन मोर इंटरेस्टिंग फैक्ट इज कि ये एंट्री रिप्लेस हुई थी उस एंट्री से जिसमें केवल ये लिखा हुआ था cooked food like pizza, burger, fried chicken and sandwiches. Now at the same time in that entry was deleted and this new entry was inserted in place of that entry. Now department says that here it is written any other cooked food. Then we will take the dal roti also. That will not be taxed at 5% but will go at 14.5%. We said that you have to read the entry harmoniously, and this particular legal maxim, adjustem generis, you have to follow that. कि any other cooked food का मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप इसके अंदर दाल रोटी ले आओ जो ऑलरेडी कहीं पे कहीं दूसरे शेड्यूल में जो 5% का है वहां मेंशन्ड है. आप उसको यहाँ रेजिडरी शेड्यूल में नहीं लेके आ सकते इस एंट्री में, क्योंकि ये एंट्री फास्ट फूड रिलेटेड आइटम्स की है. एंड वी न्यू दैट at that point of time when we were giving the reply that the matter will not be settled before the High Court, and that same thing happened. We are fighting for it. So why I discuss this with you, because this is what the legal maxim is all about. Now these are the cases which you can read for better understanding. In this particular case, the 5 judges bench narrated that the meaning of this maxim is when general words follow particular and specific words of the same nature, which I just discussed with you. General word here were any other cooked food, and the specific words were pizza, burger, and any other fast food whatsoever I have narrated just. So those kind of things happen. And when you do these kind of work, you get to know new things, you learn new things daily, and it really encourages you to go further. This is also one judgment which is beautifully narrated, and this particular maxim is discussed in this judgment. Now the next is ignorantia facti excusit, ignorantia juris non excusit. It says in very simple fact thing that ignorance of law is no excuse. Very simple, everybody knows this. इस एक केस के उससे मैं आपको समझाता हूँ. इंदर सिंह में के केस में ये हुआ कि उसने कहा कि मुझे मालूम ही नहीं था कि मुझे अपील करने का राइट भी है, सो आई डिड नॉट अपील. कोर्ट ने कहा भैया ये नहीं चलेगा, आपको अवेयर होना पड़ेगा कि कानून क्या है आपका, उसमें आप कैसे फायदा ले सकते हैं. तो उन्होंने इस अपील को डिसमिस कर दिया, दैट वी कैन नॉट अलाउ यू फॉर दिस, यू हैड टू फाइल एन अपील इन प्रिस्क्राइब्ड टाइम. नेक्स्ट इज लेक्स पोस्टेरियर डेरोगेट प्रायरी, a later law repeals an earlier law. Just to give you a brief of it, I will not discuss on that. Locus standi also is the right of a party to bring an action, right to be heard. This is what locus standi is all about. This is the right to be heard, to be generated, right? This is one judgment which you can read for this particular maxim. Now, थोड़ा सा जल्दी करेंगे क्योंकि पूरे जुडिशियल प्रोनाउंसमेंट और क्वेश्चन आंसर बाकी हैं. आकाश जी मुझे सर भी ला रहे हैं. नेक्स्ट इज नेमो डिबेट एस जुडिक्स इन प्रोपेरिया सुआ कॉजा. इसमें मैं ज्यादा नहीं जाऊंगा, आप एक जजमेंट पढ़ लें तो ये आपके समझ में आ जाएगी. इसमें प्रिंसिपल ऑफ नेचुरल जस्टिस को इन्होंने दो वाइटल चीजें बताई हैं जो मैंने आपसे मेनका गांधी के केस में भी डिस्कस किया अभी. Another is the principle of law, which says that the prosecutor should not be a judge. What does it mean? It means that in earlier in VAT regime, what used to happen, that if I am framing a case, for an example, I am A and I am the investigating officer, and I have framed a case. Then before 2009, it used to happen that me only A is disposing of also the case. The person who is creating the case is disposing of the case. Doesn't make any sense, because he is making a case with some prior intent. And if you ask him to decide the case, it will invariably be on the findings which was there at the time of investigation. So we put forward this particular thing in the notice of the government. I specifically me at that point of time was there, and I put forth this particular thing before the commissioner of the state in 2009, and he appreciated and put it in the VAT law also, where उसका इम्पैक्ट ये हुआ कि जैसे मान लीजिए कि कोई सर्कल है, उस सर्कल में ए ऑफिसर ए है जो कि एक व्हाट यू कॉल दैट इज मे बी ACTO. And if he is framing some case, then by virtue of that discussion and legal replacement, उन्होंने ये कहा कि वो केस खुद डिसाइड नहीं करेगा. पर्टिकुलर उसका एक सर्कुलर नोटिफिकेशन कमिश्नर ने निकाला कि आप खुद इसको डिसाइड नहीं करेंगे, आप किसी दूसरे ऑफिसर को भेजेंगे. बट द थिंग इज कि वो क्या करने लग गए कि वो मेरे अंडर में कोई आदमी है, वो मुझे ही केस ट्रांसफर कर देता, just to say that I have not decided it, somebody else has decided. But that was not the logic, but it's okay. But this is how what I wanted to put forth. I am sure that my message has properly conveyed to you. This is paramateria. When we say that two cases are बिल्कुल similar cases दो हैं, you can say that these are paramateria. जो case उसमें decide हुआ है, same case में हम इसमें भी कर सकते हैं. Another is res judicata. It says that आप adjudged हो चुके हो already. You have already had this, and why do you want to come back again for this? So the thing which happens that you have already been heard and judged, then do not come again on that. This is one judgment. One important thing what I wanted to share with you was suppressio veri or suggestio falsi. This is important because when you are drafting anything, you have to be balanced. Having said that, you must disclose all the facts, whether it is in your favor or not. What will happen doing that the court knows that whatever the case is, it is here only in front of him. So it is a better way of presenting that. Do not try to suppress anything. Sometimes what happens, I have seen that in many times in the during the course of proceeding, that वो कोई फैक्ट बड़ा छोटा सा अगर फैक्ट भी कोई है, अगर वो रह गया और कोर्ट को वो समझ में नहीं आई बात, then the entire case that slips out of your hand. So my humble suggestion is that whenever you are preparing the facts of the case, put entire facts in the before in the paper and submit it in the annexures or whatever you do. So do that. This is one good judgment of Avtar Singh. You can read this judgment just to if you want to gain some knowledge. So these were a few of the legal maxims which I thought of importance for you in the initial replies, or for that matter, the drafting of appeal. These may be, may become important for you. Just see those while you are drafting your reply or, these things. Right. Now we come to the topic appeal and revision. 107 से लेके 121 सेक्शन है जिसमें आपके फर्स्ट अपीलेट अथॉरिटी, उनका कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ ट्राइब्यूनल्स, उसमें किसके अपॉइंटमेंट्स होंगे, ट्राइब्यूनल कैसे फाइल करेगी, आपको अपील कैसे फाइल करनी है, रिवीजन कैसे होंगे, उसके बाद हम हाई कोर्ट जाएंगे तो हाई कोर्ट कैसे जाएंगे, हाई कोर्ट के बाद सुप्रीम कोर्ट कैसे जाएंगे, वो सब चीजें 107 से 121 में डिस्कस करिए। और इनके करस्पॉन्डिंग रूल्स जो हैं वो 108 से लेके 116 तक हैं, चैप्टर 13 के रूल्स। फॉर्म्स रिवीजन के और अपील के ये फॉर्म्स आपके मैंने आपसे डिस्कस किया। नाउ व्हाट इज अपील? Britannica dictionary says कि appeal is a right which gives you eligibility to challenge the order of a court in a higher court. In a simple words, this is appeal. And when you see that the assessing officer has not passed an order which you think is proper for your client, then the resort what is there with you is the appeal. Go in the appeal, right? So this is the definition of appeal. Important thing is to note that what law dictionary says, it says that a challenge to the previous determination, previous legal determination, usko aap challenge karte hain, and that is appeal. And appeal is directed towards a legal power higher than the power making the challenge determination. आप ऊपर किसी कोर्ट में जाएं जो पुराना डिटर्मिनेशन लीगल आपका हुआ है उसके अगेंस्ट। Now let me discuss with you प्रशांत भूषण's case. What happened in that case? जो लीगल के राइट, अपील के राइट की मैं आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ, वो ये कहते हैं कि अपील इज अ फंडामेंटल राइट as per that particular decision. Article 14, Article 21 of the Constitution of India, and more importantly, Article 14 within bracket 5 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, ICCPR. उसमें ये कहा है कि अपील जो है वो एक फंडामेंटल राइट है। एंड लेट मी टेल यू दैट वो इंटरनेशनल कोवेनेंट का जो आर्टिकल 14 विद इन ब्रैकेट 5 है, दैट हैज बीन रेटिफाइड बाय द इंडियन गवर्नमेंट आल्सो। सो यू कैन से दैट अपील इज माय right which can be exercised against any legal determination to the higher forum. So that is what is appeal. This all you all know, I have already discussed with you. Now, what section 7 says, I will not go word to word in that. इसमें 2-3 points हैं जो हैं. एक, any person is the word which is used here, because sometimes what happens, even the unregistered persons, they also need to file appeal. So that word is any person. And 2 different words are decision or order. This is something new you will find. It was not there in VAT law also. Decision or order. Order, we all know what is order. Decision is also like an order, but you can say that, it is when something doesn't happen. Let me tell you with an example. थोड़े दिन पहले तक जो डिपार्टमेंट अथॉरिटीज थे वो सर्वे या सर्च के केस में जाते थे, अभी भी जाते हैं. उस केस के अंदर वो वहीं पे पैसा जमा करा के DRC 03 फाइल कर देते थे. उसका कोई ऑर्डर पास नहीं करते थे. And what they used to say that word is not there in section 73 for these particular cases where the DRC 03 is filed. So हम उसका decision देंगे. And then I realized that decision word, that is why the decision word is written here. होना दोनों एक जैसा ही है कि आपने क्या decision किया या order किया. But both the words are simultaneously used in particular sections so that everything is covered whatsoever you want to appeal against. So main important thing is these 3 red letters, that the appeal must be filed within 3 months from the date of communication of the order. Now, what is communication of the order? One judgment I have quoted that I will discuss in later segment of the deliberation. But आज की तारीख में अगर हम ये कहें कि हमारे पास ऑर्डर आ गया फिजिकली या हमारे पोर्टल पे या ईमेल के थ्रू, बिकॉज एक जजमेंट में कोर्ट ने ये भी कहा है कि अगर आप केवल पोर्टल पे उसको डाल देते हो और एसएससी देखता है नहीं देखता है, दैट कैन नॉट बी गुड वे ऑफ कम्युनिकेटिंग विद इट और सर्विंग. सो दैट अपन उसको जुडिशियल प्रोनाउंसमेंट्स के लिए रखते हैं. बट यहाँ पे मैं केवल आपसे जो लीगल प्रोविजन है वो बता रहा हूँ कि आपको 3 महीने के अंदर जब आपका ऑर्डर आपको मिलता है, कम्युनिकेट होता है, आपको अपील फाइल करनी. ये एक रिवीजन का पावर कमिश्नर को दे रखा है कि वो सुओ मोटो या एप्लीकेशन पे और उसको रिवीजन भी कर सकते हैं. 1 महीने का कंडोनेशन ऑफ डिले भी 1 महीने का है. आप द पावर इज 1 मंथ. अगर आपके 3 महीने खत्म हो जाते हैं तो अपीलेट अथॉरिटी को ये पावर है कि वो आपको 1 महीने का कंडोनेशन दे दे. Now, for that you have to file separate documents for getting the condonation. So it is always better that but this buffer of 1 month is given, which is always there. Now, the appeal cannot be filed. अगर हम किसी अमाउंट को हमने एडमिट कर लिया है तो पूरा अमाउंट जमा कराना है, और नहीं तो 10% आपको जमा कराना है डिस्प्यूटेड अमाउंट का, सब्जेक्ट टू 25 करोड़. और पेनल्टी अगर 129(3) में है जो उन्होंने अभी नई प्रोविजन सब्स्टिट्यूट किया है, उसमें आपको 25% पेनल्टी का जमा कराना है अपील फाइल करने के लिए. थोड़ा सा इरेशनल मुझे लग रहा है, बट सिंस इट इज इन द लॉ वी हैव टू अबाइड बाय दिस. One beautiful thing is that earlier it was there in service tax regime, but was not there in VAT acts. That if you deposit this 10% amount, then the remaining amount automatically gets stayed. Earlier we used to fight for the stay, and a lot of cases we have seen that those have gone up till the High Court for granting the stay. So that is a good provision which is introduced in GST. Another is the opportunity. I will not give more time. एक important चीज है कि 3 से ज्यादा adjournment हमको नहीं देने हैं. This is what is written in the law. उन्होंने ये लिखा है कि आप साल भर में अगर पॉसिबल हो डिस्पोज ऑफ द अपील, बट एडजॉर्नमेंट 3 से ज्यादा नहीं देने. दिस इज जनरल थिंग दैट ग्राउंड्स में बी एडेड और डिलीटेड. प्री इश्यूएंस ऑफ शो कॉज नोटिस इज मस्ट. दिस इज वन इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग, राइट? वेयर इट इज पॉसिबल, आई हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस विद यू. मैं इनको थोड़ा सा जल्दी बढ़ाऊंगा क्योंकि ये कानून में लिखा हुआ है, आप इसको आराम से पढ़ भी सकते हैं, उसमें कोई इतनी बड़ी चीज है नहीं. इलेक्ट्रॉनिकली अपील फाइल करनी है. कमिश्नर को ये पावर 107(1) में है कि वो नोटिफाई कर दे. किया भी है. इन राजस्थान देयर वर 2 orders earlier in 2019 जो physical filing of appeal को उन्होंने allow किया, and now it has become a problem for them, and that is why they called a meeting yesterday, which I shared with you. Final acknowledgement आपकी generate होगी आप जब certified copy देंगे. This is also one issue which I will discuss with you later. जो हमको 7 दिन के अंदर फाइल करना है जब से हमने वो फाइल करी है. Now let us take the practical issues. Offline orders and online appeal. This is one important and very challenging thing. क्या होता है कि कई ऑर्डर्स ऑफलाइन फाइल कर दिए जाते हैं, ऑफलाइन पास कर दिए जाते हैं, और उनको असेसिंग अथॉरिटी DRC 07 या MOV 07 या 9 वो फाइल नहीं करता है, ऑनलाइन अपलोड नहीं करता है. In that case, what happens when you go and try to file the appeal, it shows you an error that the order number is not matching, this is not happening. Now what happens कि कोई गाड़ी अगर जंगल के अंदर पकड़ ली उसने, अब वहां कहाँ से उसको अपलोड करेगा? But we understand, but the thing is that department is refusing the offline appeals. Now what we have to do, we have to get if you are facing these kind of problems, then take a screenshot of that particular error, fix it with the appeal, and file it with the department offline. If they do not take, so what happens in many of the cases we have seen, then send it through the registered AD. But appeal needs to be filed, because that is our right, as I discussed with you. That cannot be taken away just because the system is not working properly. So you can do that. Second issue is one order different appeals. Now this is something interesting. What happens if one truckload is going, and in that particular truck there are goods of say 10 people, and the departmental officer intercepts, right? Now what happens that he says that the goods belongs to one person, but that is not the fact. The goods belong to 10 persons who present at the time. But what he does, he says that I will pass single order, because what happens in this case, particularly practically I'm telling you, that if he says that the goods belong to 10 people, then he has to pass 10 different orders. The valuation, the calculation, everything is to be done 10 times. So practically what they do, they pass single order and say that this is, you are the owner of the goods and the order is passed in your name. इसका प्रॉब्लम कहाँ आती है कि इसमें एग्रीव्ड 10 आदमी है, लेकिन ऑर्डर सिंगल है. जब आप सिंगल ऑर्डर से 10 आदमियों को इफेक्ट करते हो तो उसकी अपील एक ही हो सकती है. Even if it is even if it is uploaded on the portal, online it is available, then also only single appeal can be made. So this is also one problem which we have here in Rajasthan, at least we have put forward. I discussed that yesterday in the meeting. So let's hope that something happens. Certified copy, as I was just discussing with you, in this era of digitalization, where everything is digitalized, and the orders which come from the department, they are also digitally signed. But when you go to the department to file the appeal, especially in the state, then you see that they ask for the certified copies of the order. And nowhere in the law it is written that is certified. There are rule 108, which I just discussed with you, which says that the certified copies need to be filed within 7 days. So, but it is not nowhere in the act it is written that the copies must be certified by the proper officer only. So we requested the state government that this matter may be put forth on the higher forums, and this certified copies must be allowed to be certified by the owner himself, self-attestation. So this is one problem which we are facing: deposition of pre-deposit for appeal. This is in my view, in the earlier what used to happen, that in VAT we had judgments of the board here in Rajasthan, the tribunal level board, that if the entire demand relates to the input tax credit, in that case you need not deposit the pre-deposit. So those kind of provisions may also be put in the GST appeals also. Maximum adjournments may create some problem in coming times, because only 3 adjournments means that you need to be on your toes all the time. Whenever the notice comes, you need to go and present your case. इम्यूनिटी एक आईटीसी डिमांड में हमको मिलनी चाहिए, वो मैंने आपसे अभी आपसे ये चीज डिस्कस करी. नाउ मूविंग टू द second resort of appeal, which is not yet taken shape even after 5 years of introduction of GST, but the appeal to the tribunals. This is the process. The benches, constitution, appeal to appellate tribunal, इसमें भी टाइम लिमिट आपके 3 महीने का है, और ये पावर उनको दी है ट्राइब्यूनल्स की. अगर 50,000 रुपए से कम की कोई डिमांड है, उसको वो एडमिट करने के लिए मना कर सकते हैं. इट वाज देयर आल्सो अर्लियर, बट आई डोंट थिंक दैट वंस द मैटर रिलेट्स टू द क्लासिफिकेशन दीज लिमिट्स विल वर्क. बट राइट नाउ दिस पावर इज गिवन टू द ऑनरेबल ट्राइब्यूनल्स कि वो उसको 50,000 से कम को मना कर दे. कंडोनेशन हो सकता है, क्रॉस ऑब्जेक्शन आप 45 डेज में फाइल कर सकते हैं. ये इसमें मैं आप ज्यादा डिस्कशन में नहीं जाऊंगा. नो अपील कैन बी फाइल्ड unless that those things. But another issue is there here, this 20% additional of remaining tax. This is I'm not in parity with this particular provision of the law, because 10% I have already deposited. If the further this appeal goes, then 20% additionally I need to deposit, which was not there in the VAT at least. So all the provisions what we are discussing here, more or less they have taken up from the service tax, and the stay thing was also there in service tax, which was absent in VAT. So more or less the provisions which are flowing are same as the appeal part. So I will just skip this. Now let us see that what possible issues as far as the tribunals are concerned. So this जब offline orders यहाँ हो रहे हैं तो उनका fate क्या होगा? I have given suggestion that some special numbers must be given to the orders which are being disposed of in offline mode by the appellate authorities, so that whenever the tribunals get operated, that is special number, from that, using that particular special number, the appeal may be filed online. Otherwise, that will also be a problematic area. Additional pre-deposit I have already discussed with you, and hearing virtual or physical. This is also, friends, come into notice with some sources that just like income tax, they are also trying to make this appellate thing in the faceless or virtual mode. But as far as tribunals are concerned, my personal opinion is that they are the final fact-finding authorities, and especially in indirect taxes, it is not that simple where you are talking about classification, when you are talking about the penalties of non-entrance in the books of accounts, when you are talking about the e-way bills, when you are talking about the movement of goods from one place to another, when you are talking about the reversal of ITC as per rule 42, 43, when you are talking about the attachment of accounts, when you are talking about the evasion in 73, 74, these facts cannot be properly communicated until unless you have the physical hearing. So this is my personal opinion that at least at the appellate tribunal stage, which is the last fact-finding authority, it must be in physical form. So those problems I tabulated, which might come in the times to come when the formation of tribunals complete. Right. Important is to understand that what is authorized representative. क्योंकि हम वहाँ जाते हैं तो हम authorized representative बन के जाते हैं. And this is the list of representatives which can be used. You can see that the chartered accountants, advocates, all are here, and they can represent the assessee before the courts. And now who cannot be? These people cannot be your legal representative, right? Just for the sake of the knowledge of 116 section. Now I will just run through this, just put it there that the High Court and Supreme Court वो हमारे अभी इस स्टेज पे, इस फोरम पे भी काम कर नहीं है, तो मैं आपको केवल उसकी एक ब्रीफ दे रहा हूँ कि ये इस उसके अंदर चल रहे हैं. Now this is important that which orders are non-appealable orders. One is the order transferring proceedings to another officer. आपको याद होगा वैट में 37 करके सेक्शन हुआ करता था जब हम फाइलें एक जगह से दूसरी जगह ले जाते थे. तो उस ऑर्डर्स की यहाँ पे फाइल अपील नहीं हो सकती है. और जो रिटेंशन ऑफ बुक्स होता है सर्च सीजन के दौरान, उनके लिए भी अपील आप नहीं कर सकते हैं. अनदर थिंग इज सैंक्शनिंग प्रोसिक्यूशन. अपील कैन नॉट बी filed for that. And the last thing is the order passed under section 80, which relates to the installment. अगर आपकी टैक्स, इंटरेस्ट या पेनल्टी कोई भी डिमांड है, आपने उसकी इंस्टॉलमेंट कराई, आपने 24 इंस्टॉलमेंट मांगी, सामने वाले ने 12 ही दी, तो आप उसकी अपील नहीं कर सकते. So these are the 4 orders for which appeal cannot be filed, and this is the hierarchy of the appeal, how the appeal goes, right? Now quickly move to the important judicial pronouncements. I have taken around 15 to 16 very nice judgments which may be help for everybody. Now let us start with the Supreme Court judgment of the limitation, जो हमको काफी टाइम से था कि भाई क्या होगा. ये जजमेंट की अगर आप तारीखें देखेंगे, कोविड टाइम की वजह से ये जजमेंट आया था, एंड बहुत सारे केसेस जो फाइल हुए हैं वो इस लिमिटेशन को का अवेलमेंट करते हुए फाइल किए हैं और अभी तक हो रहे हैं. लास्ट जो इसकी तारीख थी, इफ यू नोट दिस हियर, एट 15th से मार्च से लेके 28 फरवरी तक. नाउ यू सी दैट the limitation shifts to 28th of February and 3 months passed by in last of May. Now इसमें केवल एक इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज ये है कि क्या कंडोनेशन इस केस के अंदर हो सकता है क्या. दैट इज वन थिंग विच इज कमिंग इन एवरीबॉडीज माइंड कि जो 1 महीने का कंडोनेशन है वो इसके अंदर हो सकता है क्या. बट बाय गोइंग द लिटरल वर्ड्स ऑफ द ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट, यू विल सी दैट उन्होंने इसमें ये कहा कि इस पीरियड से लेके इस पीरियड तक अगर आपकी कोई केसेस हैं जो फॉल, जिनकी लिमिटेशन इस पीरियड के अंदर फॉल कर रही है, तो उन केसेस के अंदर आप का जो लिमिटेशन का पीरियड है वो फरवरी हो जाता है. सो व्हाट इज एज पर माय अंडरस्टैंडिंग, इट सेज दैट द टाइम ऑफ फाइलिंग द अपील शिफ्ट्स टू the 28th of February 2022. Having said that, it means that once the time limit has shifted to 28th of February, then after passing by of 90 days, that 1 month should come into picture. And I think that particular the condonation power of the appellate authority must be exercisable in this case, right? तो मैं इसका जजमेंट को लिखने का सबसे आपसे डिस्कस करने का सबसे बड़ा लॉजिक ये ही था कि आप जो मोस्ट ऑफ द केसेस, मैं रिवोकेशन, मेरे ऑफिस से हमने बहुत सारे रिवोकेशन के केसेस फाइल करे हैं इस लिमिटेशन की शेल्टर लेते हुए. एंड दिस इज वेरी गुड, एज आप रिवोकेशन ही क्यों, कोई सा भी ऑर्डर अगर उस टाइम के अंदर आपका टाइम बार हो गया है, then in that case you can take the shelter of this particular judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court. And if you want to read it, just read it. It is not more than 5 pages judgment, but worth reading. Now coming one of the leading judgment as far as the denial of ITC is concerned. This is a very good judgment narrated by the Honorable Madras High Court in the case of DY Bethel Enterprises. Now what happened in this case, मैं आपसे facts आपसे पहले मैं आपको स्क्रीन पे डालता हूं ताकि आपको समझ में आएगा। बीथल एंटरप्राइजेस ने कुछ गुड्स परचेज करे थे चार्ल्स और उसकी वाइफ से। Now all the payments which in most of the cases, even in the case of fake invoices, I'm not going in that right now because that is not the subject, and once we enter in that subject you need a hell lot of time to discuss that, but सारे पेमेंट्स जो हैं वो बैंकिंग चैनल के थ्रू है। मैंने कोई माल आकाश जी को बेचा, उनके पास गया, सारा मैंने चेक से पेमेंट उनकी तरफ से आया या मैंने उनको चेक से पेमेंट किया, सारा टैक्स जमा हो गया, एवरीथिंग इज इन प्लेस, इंक्लूडिंग टैक्स भी जो है वो मैंने उनको जमा करा दिया जो मैंने उनसे गुड्स खरीदे थे। सो now what happened that the supplier of the goods, they ran away and they did not pay the tax. Now the department told Dewell Bethel Enterprises that since the tax has not been deposited as the conditions of section 16(2) are not met with, and since you have not met with the conditions, the credit is not available to you. Now we are seeing this scenario in day-to-day basis, where the the rejection of ITC is there because the tax has not been deposited. This is not that it is a new thing. It is not a new thing. It has been happening in the VAT era also. But सर्विस टैक्स में हम मैचिंग नहीं करते थे इसलिए हमको पता नहीं लगता था। अब यहाँ पे हर चीज की मैचिंग हो रही है इसलिए हमको पता लग रहा है। But the things were there and we were facing as the VAT consultant, we always face this problem कि वो नहीं आए, मतलब but in case of Arise India, this law has also been settled by the Honorable Supreme Court. In case of Ruchi Soya also, the Madhya Pradesh High Court decided the matter in favor of the SSC, against which the revenue went in the SLP in the Supreme Court. That SLP has also been dismissed by the Honorable Supreme Court. Even then, these issues are creeping up, right? Now, what happened? The department ने एक bona fide purchaser को कहा कि भैया तू ITC इसमें रिवर्स कर दे। Now, court quashed the impugned order और उसको डायरेक्शंस के साथ रिमांड कर दिया असेसिंग अथॉरिटी को, ये कहते हुए कि the impugned order suffers from certain fundamental flaws. You see how beautifully they have written. They have conveyed the message, the court have conveyed the message that the order is not properly passed. The order is not passed with a prudent mind. It has to be quashed for more than 2 reasons. Non-examination of Charles in the inquiry and non-initiation of the recovery. At the first place. See, friends, when you give any registration number to any applicant, then you know that I am seeking that registration number from the government. And once the government is giving you the number, it means that he has been given his power, its power, to the person who is getting the registration to collect the tax. As soon as I get myself registered in the GST number, then I have stepped into the shoes of the government, and government has asked me to collect the tax on its behalf. Let me ask you one thing. Then when my one pocket is collecting tax, I'm just putting the money in another pocket. How can you ask Akash ji that you give me money? It cannot happen. But that is what is happening, and that is why, and that is when we as a professional come into picture. और मैं आपसे ये दावे के साथ कह सकता हूँ कि अगले 4 साल में आप देखेंगे आपके पास इतना लिटिगेशन होगा कि आपको टाइम नहीं होगा लिटिगेशन संभालने का। सो अगर आज कितने पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं आकाश जी?
अप्रॉक्स 200 भैया।
200 में से अगर 20 भी आज लिटिगेशन की फील्ड में कन्वर्ट हो जाते हैं तो मेरी बहुत बड़ी जीत होगी। चलिए, नेक्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट जजमेंट इज ARS स्टील अलॉयज एंड इंटरनेशनल प्राइवेट लिमिटेड। ये क्या कहता है साहब? ये कहता है कि जो 17(5)H एक सेक्शन है जो आपके लॉसेस को, थेफ्ट को, इन सब को कवर करता है, और ये कहता है कि अगर आपका ऐसा कुछ हो गया तो आप उसमें ITC को रिवर्स कर दो. Madras High Court in this judgment said that in the light of the discussion above, this is a very good judgment. Friends, I'm requesting you that read the entire judgment. You will get to know so many new things, what even knowing we do not pay heed to. So you just read one judgment daily. I am of the view that the reversal of ITC involving section 17(5)(h) by the revenue in case of loss by consumption of input, which is inherent to manufacturing loss, is misconceived. आपने किसी भी लॉस को उठा के रेवेन्यू ने पकड़ लिया कि लॉस हो गया तो लगा दो टैक्सेस पे, ITC रिवर्स करा दो. They are bound to check that why this loss has occurred. If it is a natural loss that will happen while I am manufacturing anything, then it should not be reversed. Prudence also says that जो चीज होनी ही है अगर मैं मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करूंगा लॉस, तो वो लॉस नहीं माना जाना चाहिए, उस चीज का मिसकंसेप्शन है. एंड व्हाट कोर्ट फर्दर सेज, एज सच लॉस इज नॉट कंटेम्पलेटेड or covered by the situations enumerated under section 17(5)(h). Now very nicely it has been written कि अगर आपने during the course, and you can, I am sure that each one of us have the clients who are into manufacturing, and a lot of natural loss is going. So हम इस judgment को उसमें लगा सकते हैं after seeing the facts of the case, after reading the entire judgment. So this is one good and landmark judgment which I thought of sharing with you. Another is judgment related to any equipment private limited. This is a Tripura High Court judgment, जिसमें आप देखेंगे कि गुड्स एक जगह से सिलचर से अगरतला जा रही थी, ई इनवॉइस और उसके ई वे बिल बने हुए थे. ट्रांसपोर्ट डिपार्टमेंट ने उसको चेक किया और उन्होंने कहा कि ये रजिस्टर्ड नहीं था स्टेट में. प्लीज जस्ट बी केयरफुल अबाउट द फैक्ट. ट्रांसपोर्ट डिपार्टमेंट ने उसको चेक किया. मैंने CGST SGST से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. ट्रांसपोर्ट डिपार्टमेंट ने व्हीकल को रोका और उसको चेक किया क्योंकि वो स्टेट में रजिस्टर्ड नहीं था. दिस वाज द केस. लेटर ऑन जब वो ड्यूज पेमेंट हो गए तो उसको रिलीज कर दिया गया व्हीकल को. इन द मीन टाइम क्या हुआ कि ईवे बिल एक्सपायर हो गया. फ्रेश ईवे बिल वाज जनरेटेड. GST ऑफिसर्स ने उसको डिटेन कर लिया कि आपके पास वैलिड ईवे बिल नहीं है. नाउ सी व्हाट कोर्ट सेज. मैं आपको केवल उतना ही पैराग्राफ बता रहा हूं जो मुझे लगता है कि मुझे आपको बताना चाहिए, और कोर्ट कैसे चीजों को परसीव कर रहे हैं. हाउ द ऑनरेबल कोर्ट्स आर परसीविंग द लॉ, हाउ द थॉट प्रोसेस ऑफ द कोर्ट्स आर इवॉल्विंग. आई एम जस्ट शेयरिंग दोज पर्टिकुलर पैराग्राफ्स विद यू. Court says the validity expired on account of unforeseen and unexpected delay in crossing the check post, since the transport department stopped the movement of the vehicle on the ground that the machinery was not registered in the state of Tripura. The tax authority, now see what court says, tax authorities must make a clear distinction between deliberate tax evasion, which I discussed, the mens rea, and technical or minor defects which manifest no intention of evading tax. So now court says कि आप कम से कम ये तो देखो कि ये क्यों प्रॉब्लम हुई. जब ट्रांसपोर्ट डिपार्टमेंट ने, once I have put it in the e-way bill, then I am very clear that my intention is not to evade the tax. मैं उसको e-way bill जनरेट कर रहा हूँ, उसको दिखा रहा हूँ, इसका मतलब है मुझे उसको बताना है कि मैंने ये किया है. तो आप ये देखो कि वो किस वजह से प्रॉब्लम हुई. The courts are very clear, and you just see that even they are feeling that how these things are taking shape, right? So this is one case, frequently happens, although the facts may not match, but you can take the shelter that if something happens which is not in my control, then you cannot impose the penalty. You have to differentiate mens rea and the no intention of the, right? Moving ahead. KP सुगंध का एक ये what you are saying is commercial street. Okay, just a second. This is also good judgment. Yeah, I just good. कर्नाटका से तेलंगाना डिस्पैच की, ये बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग केस था. इसमें क्या हुआ कि व्हीकल जब कर्नाटका से तेलंगाना गया तो मुझे मान लीजिए कि ये रूट फॉलो करना था. जस्ट सी दिस इज द रूट विच आई हैड टू फॉलो. जो सिंपल रूट है, जो सीधा रूट है वो ये रूट है. बट ड्राइवर ने सोचा कि मैं अगर यूं इसको ले जाऊं व्हीकल को, तो मैं यहाँ पे जो मेरा एक रिलेटिव रहता है, मैं उससे कई दिनों से मिला नहीं हूँ. आई एम जस्ट गिविंग यू एन हाइपोथेटिकल एग्जांपल. Then I will buy, instead of going this, if I'm going like this, and the officer are standing here and they detain the goods. The fact of the case is that they have detained the goods. Akash is smiling because he is also facing this problem, and we are fighting for it. So what happens in this, it happened in this case that assessing authority said that you are not following the regular way of transportation. Why did you go from this side and not this side? That was the case, right? The entire case. Now you just see, सारे documents उसके साथ में थे, टैक्स पेनल्टी लगा दी. अब आप देखिए कि कोर्ट क्या कहता है. कोर्ट says that therefore in our considered opinion, जो उन्होंने ऊपर डिस्कस किया, the impugned action of the respondent is collecting the amount of 4,16,000 from the petitioner towards tax and penalty of the CN as GST under threat of detention of the vehicle carrying the goods for an absurd reason. I'm just, because whatever it is written here is in inverted commas, means that the court has narrated in the order. Court says that said goods for an absurd reason, wrong destination. This is what the exact language the court has used. When the vehicle in question carried all the proper documents evidencing that it was an interstate sale transaction is clearly arbitrary, violative of Article 14, 265 and 300 capital A of the Constitution of India. Accordingly, the writ petition is allowed and मैंने इसको लाल किया है, 25,000 रुपए की cost लगाई है. You very rarely you see that when the honorable courts cost somebody. 25,000 रुपए की कॉस्ट उस फर्स्ट रिस्पोंडेंट पे जो वहां पे प्रॉपर ऑफिसर था जिसने ऑर्डर किया है, उस पे 25,000 रुपए की कॉस्ट लगे. एंड अब इससे ज्यादा और क्या लिखेंगे कि दिस वाज एन एब्सर्ड रीजन. सो दिस इज आल्सो one of the cases which you might feel. Now coming to the KP Sugandh case. इसमें क्या था कि जो डीलर था वो टबाको का और एलाइड प्रोडक्ट्स का डीलर था, और उन्होंने ट्रांजिट में बिल सब लगा के उनको भेजे. नाउ व्हाट हैपेंड कि उसने असेसिंग अथॉरिटी ने रोक लिया और कहा कि साहब ये गुड्स जो हैं वो अंडर वैल्यूड हैं, मीनिंग देयर बाय द गुड्स व्हिच आर देयर इन दी व्हीकल और मान लीजिए 5 लाख रुपए के हैं और आपने उसकी वैल्यू 2 लाख रुपए बताई. ये क्या कि उन्होंने पेनल्टी अंडर सेक्शन 129 लगा दी. Now what the court said? Court said, given the said facts and circumstances of the case, this court is of the opinion that undervaluation of a good in the invoice cannot be a ground for detention of the vehicle for a proceeding to be drawn under section 129 of the CGST Act and rules. Friends, when you see section 67, 68 and section 129 and rule 138 A to E, then you will realize that in those provisions they deal only with the movement of goods and the documents specified to be carried accompanied with the goods. That's it. आप ये जजमेंट वैट के टाइम में भी हुए हैं कि आपने उसको असेस कैसे कर दिया. There was a section in Rajasthan VAT in 76, 6 and 10 for the vehicle and the goods. आपने उसको assess कैसे कर दिया? You cannot assess, you cannot jump into the shoes of the assessing authority. What you are checking here is just if you don't find these documents in order, then impose the penalty. You cannot assess the tax on those particular goods. चलिए उसको एक बार छोड़ देते हैं. बट द थिंग इज, मैं आपको ये इसलिए बता रहा हूँ कि इसका बैकग्राउंड ये है सेक्शन 67, 68 और 129 और रूल 138 से आगे कि ये प्रोविजन केवल इसलिए है कि आपके जो गुड्स मूवमेंट में हैं उनके साथ सर्टेन डॉक्यूमेंट्स आपके लगा के साथ में भेजें. दैट्स इट, नथिंग मोर देन दैट. चलिए, next is Safari Retreat. It is a landmark judgment which is being, now it is before the Honorable Supreme Court is pending. एक अच्छा केस है सफारी रिट्रीट के नाम से. इस केस के फैक्ट्स ये हैं कि एक रिजॉर्ट इन्होंने बनाया और उसको बनाने में जो क्रेडिट थी वो क्रेडिट इस ग्राउंड पे ले ली कि मैं जिस काम को कर रहा हूँ उन पे उसके लिए मैं ये क्रेडिट ले रहा हूँ. The credit is being taken for the business and also in the course of furtherance of business. So वो क्रेडिट मुझे अलाउ की जाए. कंस्ट्रक्शन का मैटर था और उन्होंने सारी क्रेडिट जो भी इनके कंस्ट्रक्शन रिलेटेड मटेरियल थी उसके लिए. ऑनरेबल उड़ीसा हाई कोर्ट very nicely wrote down this judgment. It is a very nice judgment which one must see. And उसका impact अभी ये हुआ है कि lot of people have started to taking the credit of these projects which they are going to rent, particularly in case of hotels. And since the amount, the volume of the ITC is very high, so this judgment, at least now, for now, this really is a good judgment for all of us. And let me tell you here, friends, one thing, that if you have even 10% of chances that you can take the credit and go through with it, that you will succeed in future time. अगर ये litigation में जाता है, not on the basis of some absurd understanding, but if you have even a fair chance of getting it through, you must take the credit. Because once the credit is, you leave the credit, it will lapse and you will not be able to regain it. So my humble suggestion is that if considering and based on the facts of the each and every case, one must go to take the credit. Now this is also one important judgment of Ram Babu Singh. इसमें मैं आपसे केवल एक्स पार्टी ऑर्डर है जो कोर्ट ने लिखा, केवल मैं आपसे वो डिस्कस करूंगा. कोर्ट ने इसमें ये कहा कि जो आपका इशू है वो मेरिट्स पे, और अगर आपने कोई इशू ओपन छोड़ दिया है तो उसका बैंक अकाउंट आप फ्री करो और प्रॉपर उसको अथॉरिटी दो कि आपने एक्स पार्टी ऑर्डर किया है और उसका जो नेचुरल जस्टिस का ग्राउंड चैलेंज किया गया है उसको फिल करते हुए हम आगे बढ़े. So this is what important thing was narrated in the judgment. Another is the associated power structure. This is also, now this is what the Honorable Bihar Court had mentioned in the order. Just see the words, we only caution the officer. We only caution the officer to be careful in future and not commit such mistakes again. For such type of mistake not only causes harassment to the parties, but also shatters faith in the people in the system. मुझे नहीं मालूम आप इससे कितना relate कर पा रहे हैं, but I could relate myself with the feelings of the court that these kind of works they are using in the orders. You can just feel the pain where they say that we can only caution the officer, that you, and in earlier judgment we saw that the court imposed the cost on the officer. Now they are saying that we can only caution the officer to be very careful. आप absurdity में order pass मत करो. Be very careful while passing the orders, because at times what happens that it can vanish the entire business of a person if you impose any demand erroneously or without application of mind. This happens. So this is what the court says, and my intention of taking this judgment here was just to show you that how the courts are feeling about the things. Now moving forward, जोधपुर विद्युत वितरण निगम लिमिटेड, ये जजमेंट इसलिए मैंने आपसे कहा इसमें जस्ट एक लास्ट की 4-5 वर्ड्स पढ़ने के हैं कि सर्कुलर जो है वो लॉ के बियॉन्ड नहीं जा सकता इन एनी केस, क्योंकि आजकल ये भी हो रहा है, स्पेशली इन दी सेंटर केसेस वी आर सीइंग दैट दे इशू द सर्कुलर एंड इवन इफ दोज आर इन कॉन्ट्रावेंशन ऑफ द लॉ, बिकॉज उसका वायरस चैलेंज करना पड़ता है, दैट इज अ टीडियस जॉब एंड ओनली द हाई कोर्ट कैन हियर दैट. तो उसमें आप ये प्ली ले सकते हैं कि ये जो सर्कुलर है आपका ये बियॉन्ड लॉ के नहीं जा सकता है. So whatever is written in the law, you have to abide by that. This was the only thing in that. Balaji Theatre, this is also a good judgment versus Chief Secretary, Madras High Court. It says इसमें क्या था कि एक एंटरटेनमेंट टैक्स म्यूनिसिपैलिटी ने लगा दिया. पिटिशनर ने ये कहा कि साहब आप इसको जी हम सबस्यूम हो चुके हैं जीएसटी के अंदर, इसलिए आपकी पावर ही नहीं है कि हम पे टैक्स लगा दें. कोर्ट ने कहा कि भैया ये वहाँ एंट्री नंबर 62 है 101 जो 100 कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट है, उसमें एंटरटेनमेंट टैक्स नो डाउट उसके अंदर सबस्यूम हुआ है, बट जो पंचायत या जो म्यूनिसिपैलिटी वाला जो एंटरटेनमेंट टैक्स है वो इसके अंदर इंक्लूड नहीं हुआ है. तो ये टैक्स आप ये जो लोकल अथॉरिटीज हैं वो लगा सकती है. नाउ अनदर is Robin's case. What happened in this case? एक मशीन थी जो यूएसए से बंबई आ रही थी, गलती से उसने जो ई-वे बिल बनाने वाले ने खुद का नाम लिख दिया, केवल क्लैरिकल मिस्टेक. ये बिल्कुल फैक्ट है कि मशीन बंबई से यूएस से ही बंबई आ रही है, सारा काम हो रहा है, बट जो सीएफए था उसका जो एजेंट था उसने खुद का नाम लिख दिया ई-वे बिल में और व्हीकल को डिटेन करके पेनल्टी लगा दी. Court what says in this particular case was that regard being had to be pleading advance on behalf of the parties and bestowing our anxious consideration on the relevant provisions of the GST Act. We find that the respondents are not justified in rejecting the appeal of the petitioner, which is the revenue, on the ground, respondent is revenue, on the ground that the mistake committed while generating e-way bill was not a clerical error or a small mistake. Accordingly, the impugned order passed by the respondent confirming the tax and penalty to the tune of 22 lakhs are hereby quashed. The respondents are directed to consider the case of the petitioner for imposition of a minor penalty. So even in this case, see, you have to just judge what is happening here. Everything is on record. The goods are coming into India. The custom or the IGST has to be paid on that. Proper documentation will be there, and even then if on some part of the clerical mistake, if these kind of penalties are being imposed, then that is harsh. So court just quashed this thing. Now the next is the Mahavir Enterprises case. This is also a good judgment, and it relates to the what you call section 83, the provisional attachment. कोर्ट ने कहा कि जब आपने द फैक्ट्स ऑफ द केस की मर्ज हो चुका है ऑर्डर, फाइनल ऑर्डर हो गया है, प्रोविजनल अटैचमेंट उसके बात कर रहे हैं. कोर्ट ने कहा कि इन सच सर्कमस्टांसेस रेफर्ड अबव द इम्प्यूग्ड ऑर्डर ऑफ प्रोविजनल अटैचमेंट purported to have been passed under section 83, right, of the act could be said to be without jurisdiction. अब jurisdiction क्यों नहीं है? Jurisdiction इसलिए नहीं है कि once you have passed the final order, then legally the interim order is merged with the final order, and once the final order is passed, then the provisional attachment under section 83 cannot be invoked. So this is also important in today's scenario where we are seeing that provisional attachments are done like, you know, very regularly, which in the erstwhile regime which we used to see very often, that the prosecution or the detention for judicial custody or the attachments, those were the last resorts. Now the other judgment is Bharat Aluminium Company Limited. So this is also a good judgment. Let me just, yeah. इसमें क्या हुआ था कि पेटिशनर ने कुछ गुड्स परचेज करी और उन गुड्स का जो सेलर था उसने अपने 2A में नहीं दिखाई. तो कोर्ट ने ये कहा कि आप इस बेसिस के ऊपर उसको रिजेक्ट नहीं कर सकते हो कि उसकी 2A में क्रेडिट नहीं दिख रही है. एंड इस केस के अंदर उसने फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन भी ऑफर किया. that you come and see that the goods are lying with me. So I have paid the tax which we earlier discussed कि हमने टैक्स उस आदमी को पे कर दिया जिसको सरकार ने अपॉइंट किया था, and even then we are not getting the input tax credit. So कोर्ट ने कहा, स्टे किया इसको और कहा कि आप उसको, हम कोई कोएर्सिव एक्शन नहीं लेंगे, इन द मीन टाइम आप उसको प्रोसेस करें और डायरेक्शंस के साथ केस को स्टे करके कर दिए, that you need to follow these directions and go ahead in according to those. Now this jar case is also a good case where you will see that how the export of service is being treated by the courts. इसमें एक अब्रॉड यूके में सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड करी थी और उसका रिफंड इनसे मांगा, उसको उन्होंने रिजेक्ट कर दिया. कोर्ट ने कहा, what court has written verbatim, I'm telling you, that this court relying on the apex court judgment held that when services are rendered abroad, CGST will not apply. In the case at hand also, the petitioner has rendered services to the abroad in UK. Therefore, GST does not apply to the services rendered abroad as they amount to the export of services. So this judgment I have selected for the better understanding कि हम लोगों के एक हैंडी रहे कि अगर हम इस तरीके का कोई केस लड़ रहे हैं तो हमारे को ध्यान में रहे. Now another is Rajnandini Metals versus Union of India, पंजाब एंड हरियाणा का केस है. इसमें आईटीसी ब्लॉक कर दी थी नॉन एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ सप्लायर, जो केस हम आज भी देख रहे हैं कि जैसे बहुत सारे केस हो रहे हैं फेक इनवॉइसेस में, अब वो बैक डेट से जाके उसको रिजेक्ट कर देते हैं, क्या उसका जो रजिस्ट्रेशन है वो कैंसिल कर देते हैं. उसका इम्पैक्ट ये आता है जो पर्टिकुलरली एग्जैक्टली इसके केस के अंदर हुआ. उन्होंने ये कहा कि पेटिशनर ने जो आईटीसी ब्लॉक करी, डिपार्टमेंट ने उसका बेस लिया कि ये लोग सब नॉन एग्जिस्टेंस थे. उसका जवाब दिया एससीएन से, उसको रिवोक कर लिया. फिर वापस उसको सेक्शन को इन्वोक कर दिया. 86 जो रूल है 86 कैपिटल ए, जिसमें ये ब्लॉक वाला जो पावर इनको दिया गया है, उसका बेसिस उन्होंने ये लिया कि जो इंटेलिजेंस रिपोर्ट थी जो प्रिंसिपल कमिश्नर से आई थी, उसमें ये था कि ये एक कोई बड़ा गैंग है जो फेक इनवॉइसेस की आईटीसी को इधर उधर कर रहा है. इसलिए हमने, चूंकि इन्होंने परचेजेज उससे करी थी, इसलिए हमने इसकी आईटीसी को ब्लॉक कर दिया, वो पैसा हमारे को नहीं मिला, सिंस इट वाज रिलेटेड टू फेक इनवॉइसेस ट्रेल. Court held in this that it is trite law. Just see the words which the courts are using. It is trite law that a speaking order has to be self-sustainable, and respondents at this stage cannot be allowed to justify the same by adding reasons to it by filing additional affidavits. From the reading of the order, it is evident that it is bereft of any material or reason to believe that the petitioner is guilty of fraudulent transaction or is ineligible under section 16 of the CGST. मतलब मेयरली अगर आपके पास कोई इंटेलिजेंस रिपोर्ट है, उसके बेसिस पे आप उसको डिनाइल नहीं कर सकते. And this is a good case of Rajnandini Metal. This is the latest judgment of Punjab and Haryana High Court, which can be used in our replies. So consequently, ये writ petitions allowed कर दी गई. चलिए, in one of the another judgment is जय किशोर मंडल. ये इसका मैं आपको क्रक्स बता देता हूँ जल्दी से. इसमें आप जो हाईलाइटेड एरिया है केवल वो देख लें. वो ये कह रहा है कि इसमें 2 रीजन से हम इसको अपील को एडमिट कर रहे हैं. पहला इज वायलेशन ऑफ प्रिंसिपल ऑफ नेचुरल जस्टिस, क्योंकि आपने उसको प्रॉपर अपॉर्चुनिटी हियरिंग की नहीं दी, सफिशिएंट टाइम भी उसको प्रोवाइड नहीं किया ताकि वो अपने केस को रिप्रेजेंट कर सके. अपन ने इसको अभी आगे पहले भी डिस्कस किया था. दूसरा, एक्स पार्टी ऑर्डर आपने पास कर दिया which does not assign any reason sufficient even decipherable from the record as to how the officer could determine the amount due and payable by the assessee. So ये नरेट करने के बाद कोर्ट ने इस चीज को, इस ऑर्डर को डिसमिस किया. So what I was talking to you earlier was the basic principles of natural justice. So this case I have chosen just to put into your notice that regularly we are receiving these kind of orders, and in the first reply these cases should be mentioned, and it puts an impact on the assessing authority, and to you, and more than that, to your, it adds weightage to your reply. So we need to put all these things in line. Moving forward, one is the LGW Industries case. What happened in this case is the petitioner received goods from the suppliers, genuine invoice थे, वैल्यूड डॉक्यूमेंट से सपोर्टेड थे. अब इसमें सप्लायर्स ने ये कहा कि साहब आप सप्लायर जो है वो फेक है और नॉन एग्जिस्टिंग है. डिपार्टमेंट ने उसका रजिस्ट्रेशन ही कैंसिल कर दिया, जो मैंने अभी आपसे डिस्कस करा. कोर्ट ने कहा कि इफ इट इज फाउंड अपॉन कंसीडरिंग द रेलेवेंट डॉक्यूमेंट्स that all the purchases and transactions in question are genuine and supported by valid documents, and transaction in question were made before the cancellation of registration. Please mind these words: made before the cancellation of registration of those suppliers, and after making into consideration the judgments of the Honorable Supreme Court and various high courts which have been referred in this order. And that is why I repeatedly tell you that please read the orders. If you read one order, you will get to know 25 orders in that. This order, and in that evident, the petitioner shall be given the benefit of input tax credit in question. Very beautifully drafted judgment this is. If you go through this judgment, you will find so many answers to your questions automatically. Right. Now the Jindal Pipe Limited का case. This is also very good case. इसमें करीब 9,000 crore की Actually, that is a different case. This is a different case. Now, मैं जो सर्विस की आपसे बात कर रहा था, this case relates to that. इसमें क्या हुआ, 129 में एक ऑर्डर पास कर दिया गया यूपी जीएसटी एक्ट में, और ऑर्डर उन्होंने करके और ड्राइवर को सर्व कर दिया. चैलेंज हुआ कि भाई आपने ड्राइवर को ऑर्डर कैसे सर्व कर दिया. कोर्ट ने हेल्ड किया, having heard the learned counsel for the petitioner and standing counsel, I am of the view that the order was served on the driver and therefore was definitely not served on the person who would have been aggrieved by the order, and therefore the service of the order on the driver was no service at all. मतलब मैं आपसे ये कह रहा हूं कि अगर आप सर्विस को पढ़ने जाएंगे तो अपने को 1-1.5 घंटे का डेलिब्रेशन सर्विस पे चाहिए, that what is legal service, what is proper service. Because once you establish that the order or notice is served, it opens the gate for department to enter. And if it is not served, we as a petitioner say that this is not, the order is not served, then you have a upper hand on that. So this judgment says that if the order is being served on the driver, then it will not be treated as a valid service of it. So with that, I will conclude my today's deliberation. I have Akash, I have finished in time. So thank you once again for your patient hearing, and I can see that more than 100, nearly 200 people are still with us. So that's really very, heartful to see for me. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Bia. And I think we'll take some questions. Right. And Shekhar Gupta has raised his hand. Mr. Shekhar Gupta. Shekhar sir, are you there? Shekhar sir, are you there? I think he's not. Yeah. Any member who wants to ask any question, can raise his hand, and we'll allow him to speak. Okay, I think there is no question, and I think Yashish, the members are asking for the PPT. So
I'll share that with you.
है ना, हाँ, we'll sir will share the PPT and we'll upload this PPT on our website. So anybody wants to have any वो हमारी वेबसाइट पे जाके वो देख सकता है. So and now I think deliberation बहुत अच्छा था भैया, because we have been laws को लेके बहुत सारे वो थे, and हमेशा हम डरते रहते हैं कि यार ई-वे बिल्स के रिगार्डिंग, एंड हमें यही लगता है कि डिपार्टमेंट हमेशा सही है, बट जब हमने बहुत सारे ऐसे लॉज देखे जहाँ पे डिपार्टमेंट के ऊपर भी कोर्ट्स ने पेनल्टी लगाई है. So that was very informative on the part of you. And now I invite CA Lokesh Maheshwari, Secretary CIRC, for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Akash ji. I am very much thankful to our today's speaker, CA Yashashvi Sharma ji from Jaipur. जो सर का जो डेलिब्रेशन था, इट वाज वेरी नाइस, और सारी चीजें कवर की है. जो भी प्रॉब्लम्स मेंबर फेस करते हैं ड्यूरिंग अपील्स वगैरह, वो सारी सर ने इंक्लूड करी है अपने प्रेजेंटेशन के अंदर. सर, हम आपकी सर्विसेज आगे भी CIRC के लिए लेना चाहेंगे, तो प्लीज सर थोड़ा सा टाइम हमारे लिए स्पेयर कीजिएगा. And I thank to our today's moderator, CA Akash Bhargoti ji, our council colleague, and all the members who joined this webinar. और जो मैं साथ में कहना चाहूंगा कि 75 days 75 प्रोग्राम जो CIRC होल्ड कर रहा है, इवन कई दिन तो ऐसे भी है जहाँ तीन एक्टिविटी सिंगल डे में है. CIRC अभी 75 डेज में 75 एक्टिविटी के साथ हम ये प्लान कर रहे हैं, क्यों ना 365 डेज 365 एक्टिविटीज. CIRC इस बार अंडर द एबल लीडरशिप ऑफ अतुल मेहरोत्रा जी पूरा काम कर रहा है, पूरी टीम साथ लगी हुई है, तो आप सब लोगों का सहयोग चाहिए. और CA वीक का जो हम सेलिब्रेशन करने वाले हैं आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव में, उसमें भी हम सब लोगों को आपका साथ चाहिए. थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग द वेबिनार. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Right. Thank you, Lokesh ji, and I'll take this opportunity. Already बहुत सारे members CRET पे जिनको informations है, CRET जो new examination pattern CA Institute लेके आ रहा है, so I would like to request all the members to go through that new pattern exam, जो new pattern examination का, and अपने suggestions दे. I think the forum is open till 30th June. So I would request all the members to go through the new pattern and अपने जो भी valuable suggestions है regarding the articleship और किस तरीके से अपन और better कर सकते हैं अपने examination pattern को. So I would request all the members to please go through that examination pattern once again. Right. Thank you Yashashvi भैया, thank you so much. And जैसे कि लोकेश जी ने बोला, हम आगे भी expect करते हैं कि आप इसी तरीके से CIRC हर programs में participate करें सर. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone.